Hey everybody, this is producer Eric. So, Karin wanted me to let you guys know something. Before you take any of the advice she offers on the show, please speak to your medical doctor. Also, when you do take Karin's advice, please understand that results will vary per person. Alright, let's start the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this very special episode. It's a joint podcast episode. It's Shit Isn't a Dirty Word, and Welcome to Humanity, the Healthy Healer podcast with Karin Nahmani and Dr. Fred Moss. Everybody, the world needs help, and we're here to talk about it. Hello, Dr. Fred. Hello, Karin. Hello, Eric.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Great. It's great to see you all. It's great to see you. It's great to see you, Dr. Fred, for the second time. I'm so excited for today because you know what? I love the healthy healer. Healthy healer is something unique, which I think, in my opinion, every healer, every therapist should be healthy first before they touch others. So
Exactly. That's the only real way. If you don't know what health is in your own self, then you're not going to be able to provide it for anybody else. It's a lot like love, right? I mean, at the middle of it all, a healing conversation surrounds people who are involved in human connection. And, so at the heart of all healing is a human connection, and the heart of all healing is love as well. So and at the heart of every human connection is a love as well. So there's an opportunity to really connect with people, whatever that takes. And through that kind of love, really find a healed self, someone who's gone through the trenches, someone who's lived life and actually learned how to heal themselves, and then get the tool set and the blessings that come with that allow people to heal in their presence, right?
true. You know what? It's amazed me because this is what, we always say what we do is what we preach to do. When I do any type of service I recommend, I usually do it on myself because when I heal myself, first of all, I have more energy to actually heal others. And this is something for other therapists to also understand. This is not mechanical job. The mechanic job, we know whatever is in the books, it's in the books. But there is that extra mile. And I think that's why we're so alike. And that's why I really, really appreciate you and what you do. And I will tell the audience what you do, which is surprised you're the first one I know in my field that do that. Healing is something that, it's a way of life. It's a way of life to preach and to do exactly what you say you're going to do. And because there is a lot of the time that we see, psychologists that her kids are so needs a psychology, and a massage therapist with a lot of back pain, or colon hydrotherapists that are big and unhealthy. So yes, we have to look at our life as the roadmap to what we heal, to what we can give, the energy. That good energy always will come as a closed circle at the end of the day. And for our audience, I want to say that Dr. Fred is a psychiatrist, right?
Yeah.
And is taking people out of those meds, or at least help them on their new road to healing, to feel better, even with minimum of medication or without medication at all. But it's possible. And it's rare to see those things, especially in this field, when you only hear people go to the doctor, they prescribe them with some medication, and there is always a problem. And it's so refreshing to see someone like yourself that is trying to show that road of healing, real healing that comes from you to your patient. This is just an amazing to me.
Well, I appreciate that. And really, this is a lot of what we're both doing. We're both just cleaning people out. I mean, that's what it comes down to. We're leaving them with their truest self. We're leaving them with what's there to begin with. We're leaving them to rediscover what's at the core. what is at the center, what is real, what is authentic, what did, maybe you could say, what did God put you on the earth to become? He didn't put you on the earth to take psychiatric medicine. I'm just saying. There's no way
True.
that you did not land on the planet so that you could begin some psychiatric medicine because he made some sort of mistake. That is not how this went. In fact, you are who you are exactly as you are. And it's possible, just possible, that there's nothing wrong with you. That just because you're upset or angry or sad or afraid or scattered, or maybe you don't, know which direction to go, or maybe your mind is moving too fast, or you don't feel good in social environments, or you have something that happened in the past that you can't shake, or maybe you just have trouble looking in the mirror, and maybe you have trouble with something you're calling voices, which we all have, by the way. Every one of us, including you and me, we all have voices. But if we're sophisticated, we call it intuition. If we're not sophisticated and we say, I heard a voice, that's when you walk into the emergency room, and if you look at the right part and you have the right insurance, they will treat you as if you're psychotic, as if hearing voices is something odd. But the truth is, we're all listening to voices the whole time. Let me show you how that works. Let's just be silent for a while. Now, let's try to turn off that voice. The voice that's saying right now, you can't turn me off. Or the voice that's saying, what's he doing? He's trying to turn off my voice. I don't even know. I don't even have voices. That's what I'm talking about. That voice is always there. You always have a voice, and you always have a voice in your head. And people get so nervous about it when people walk into the emergency room saying they're hearing voices, that it's something different. Here's the thing. The medicines that we give for these conditions frequently make the condition much worse. So they induce, or they perpetuate, or they increase, or they sometimes even cause the symptoms they're marketed to treat. But they don't just do that, Karin, do they? They do other things too. They mess with our body. They sit in our colon. They're undigestible. They stop us up. They free us up. There's diarrhea. There's constipation. There's so many things that happen between the mouth and the bottom of the rectum here that, when we take a pill pretending that it's going to make our mood like more, more normal, more central, more correct. I don't think so. These things don't work like that. They work to disrupt, and they disrupt an imbalance, and they cause an imbalance in their own right. I'd love to hear your take on psychiatric medicines, Karin. What do you say?
I'm listening to you, and in my head right now, I have all the pictures of the people I know that close to me that are on one or two psychiatric med or some painkiller or something. So as I mentioned before, my country is suffering right now tremendous loss and traumatized. And not just the country, I think every Israeli around the planet can agree with me, because we do have the same symptoms of sympathy, pain. I know pain, and I want to say that I never thought pain can be that strong when all that happened in October 7th. Literally, I felt like I'm walking with a stone over my body, like a heavy, heavy breath, crying, I couldn't really stop everything, but that's who I am. I'm human. I didn't take anything for it, but I kind of let it happen. I talked about it. I didn't watch TV. I chose not to watch any videos because I kind of live it, know myself, so I know what works for me. But I can say that the same way I went through, a lot of people around me went through, and I hear the stories that they tell me I can't sleep at night. I'm scared. I'm in fear. I have an anxiety. Even my best friend, every time I used to go to her house, she was like, Karin, call me when you're arriving. I'm afraid to open the door. To this point, and we're in America, we're not even in Israel. But it was to this point that the human body, the emotions are so strong. And this is why I wanted to hear you and taking it to the psychiatric meds, I think that every psychiatric med is when we take it, it's just numbing one part in our body. So it can numb our emotion, it can numb that headaches. I mean, when people say headache, sometimes it's just the pulse because we feel it, or the heartbeat that we feel it. I mean, we're human. There is nerves. We feel our body. Same way we feel diarrhea or stomach ache or any of those reactions or those symptoms. And by taking those medication, again, knowing I'm taking the medication might work in the first second. After 2 hours, I don't know how much work it does. The one thing I notice is that you always need to take a little bit more. And as more as you get, you depend on that pill or that medication. Now, the aftermath is that it seems like you cannot get rid of it. And I'm not talking about people that they might need it. I don't know. There is probably cases that really, really need it. I do think that in depression and anxiety, this is something we can control and help with other things. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it's right for sure. And people do frequently need to increase their dose. And a lot of times that's because it's not really just a Band-Aid. It's not just a numbing agent. It's if all it was numbing, I could actually support it sometimes. We have like intense pain, like October 7th you're talking about. And by the way, you might remember I'm an Israeli citizen.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So on what you can say is, it's not just a numbing agent. It's not just a Band-Aid. It's actually a Band-Aid with a razor blade embedded in it. That's what these medicines really are. And if you imagine what a Band-Aid with razor blade embedded in it would do, let's say we had a cut on my hand right here, right? And I took a Band-Aid and it had a razor blade in it.
I will cut myself more. I will create more pain, more blood.
If I put it on there, it would work for a minute. Right? The cut would be covered. It would be okay. And then it would start to squirt out of the Band-Aid. Right. And when that happened, I would say something like, oh, my cut must have got worse, or the Band-Aid isn't big enough. So there's only one thing to do, and that is go get myself a bigger Band-Aid. Wow. So I get a bigger Band-Aid and it still has a razor blade in it. And I put that on top of it and it works. It works until it doesn't. And that's when the blood starts coming out again. And we start noticing that these are not just numbing agents. If all they did was a Band-Aid and they numbed some of this pain, I'm in. Sometimes you want to have your pain numbed. I could vote for that sometimes. People think that's all that it does is numb, or that it's a Band-Aid, but it's worse than that. And that's why it's time to come off of these medicines. Now, I want to say to listeners who, like you said, there's several listeners, a few people who really think that they have found the right medication regimen for them. They're pretty sure they found the right psychiatrist. They're pretty sure they found the right diagnosis, and they're pretty sure that they found the right medicine, and they don't want to shift and they don't want to change, and they like the way things are going, and that's that. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to the hundreds of millions of other people who feel like they're misdiagnosed or undiagnosed or poorly medicated or over-medicated or wrongly medicated or whatever they are. These are the people that we're talking to. These people know that what they're taking isn't working, and they know that how they've been treated isn't aligned with their core self. And what we try to do with Welcome to Humanity and the Healthy Healer is really let people know that maybe, just maybe, there's nothing wrong with you. Like maybe there's nothing wrong with you at all. Maybe you're just living a human experience from inside that body that God gave you. Maybe you're just actually, there's misery, there's pain, there's suffering. I get it. It's part of life. It just is. It's not pleasant. None of us are wishing for it, but it is part of life. And so when we can get and embrace that that's just another flavor of life, like the garlic on the smorgasbord table. I get it. It's just that you're probably not going to pick up one of those and eat it. This doesn't taste that good. Or a lemon, you're probably not going to pick up a lemon and bite into it. It's just there's some things that are, good tasting and some things that are not. And there's some experiences that are pleasant and some experiences that are not. And so what we try to do is really get people to see that maybe there's nothing wrong with you at all. Maybe, just maybe, you're living a human experience and some days are more painful than others. And you don't need any psychiatric medication. Maybe you're just as exactly how your life is supposed to be going right now, including all the nonsense and all the terrible traumas and tragedies in the world. You're just getting a taste of a real life that includes everything. And when you
So
see it that way, maybe you don't have to alter yourself.
So maybe the PR to all those medication, because when I say numbing, it's because that's how I want to say 99% of the population understand that it's just helping to make your life a little bit easier, because that's how they sell those things. Obviously, imagine if they're going to say, okay, when you take that, take into account that you might lose your memory and you might not feel anything, and your libido will be a zero, and this will happen, and you're going to need to gain weight, and you're going to probably half of the people are not going to take it because they're going to say, oh, you know what, I'm willing to have that headache from time to time. It's okay if I'm not going to take all that baggage it comes with it. But the PR is really as like a better way of life, just to give you more uh, easiness, like, and no, it doesn't hurt. Well, I hear it from my side of the world is no, it doesn't do anything, don't worry about it, it doesn't stay in the system, even though it stayed in the system for the longest time, and it causes constipation, and it causes a lot of other problems that people are not aware, especially with the nervous system, because the nervous system is something that you can't really control. It's not like a remote control. I'm pressing on buttons, and sometimes there is buttons that you don't want to press, because that's when everything comes up just in magnifying glass, and that's how people are more afraid of the outcome if they're not going to use the medication. And I must say that most of the doctor are put a lot of fear in the patient. Like, if you're not gonna take it, so you're gonna start to feel this and the heartbeat. It's okay to feel a heartbeat, just take a deep breath. It's okay to feel alone. Maybe have some friend around. It's okay to feel lonely. Maybe start to approach for love yourself, do something, breathing, running. There is so many other things, but as like you mentioned before, yeah, there is things the way they are, we don't really like them. When people come to see me, they know it's going to be uncomfortable, procedure for 45 minutes, and I say 45 minutes, maybe it's not going to be the highlights of your life. But after those 45 minutes, you're going to forget all about that discomfort, because you're going to feel good. So it's how you say it, it's how you sell it, it's how if you were true to it, probably most of the people would not be hooked on those things. Now, going back to Israel, and this is really question as a human being. This country is in trauma, and a lot of the people, if they're not taking drugs, they're taking medication. It's really on that cut. People either smoke weed to forget the pain, really forget the pain, or they're taking medication because they can't really take it. What's your take on that? Because it is trauma. It's like September 11th trauma. It is trauma. It's a very traumatic event that, like, the brain cannot comprehend what happened. Still till today, I don't think I understand fully everything that happened.
Well, it's still happening. Let's face it.
I know, no.
It's still happening. So October 7th is an important date for many, and it's not the only date. And there's enough trauma going on worldwide about what the aftermath of October 7th to shake us up, all of us, all over the whole planet. There's enough,
Yeah.
protests going on and outrageous activities that are
The
going on.
hate came through.
The anti-Semitism as well as the other direction that's going on is
Yeah,
anti-Zionism, and it's very scary times. And there's
it is.
it's possible there are many people who have said that the start of World War III was going to be something like this, and that this is enough to actually drop the first stone on a world war that we may already be in and not even know it. It's not because this third war is not going to happen the same way the first two did. There's all sorts of new features and new tools to kill off each other. And so I think, the thing that you're saying about psychiatric meds is they don't work in Israel either. They don't work anywhere. I don't give a shit who's taking them. They just don't work. And they don't work to numb you either. They don't work to make things better. They don't work to give your life a little easier. They're marketed as such, but that's like eating McDonald's when you're ready for a big meal. It's like, that's marketed as such too. That says the same thing. Like, we're loving it or whatever. I'm loving it. And, there's nothing good about McDonald's. In fact, there's nothing even food about McDonald's. And yet, we buy that stuff. And the idea is that antidepressants, if they make you are much less sharp, you are much less human, you're much less capable of managing managing the interdimensional realm, for instance, or managing the mystical, and you don't have access anymore to the cosmic or to God or to divinity. Those things that are really important in us humans to really get, that having some degree of spirituality or capacity to address and speak to a higher power. That gets removed with most of the psychiatric medicine. So you no longer have the capacity to do that. And, it's the same thing. It's a Band-Aid with a razor blade embedded. And whether you're Israeli in the middle of a trauma or you're just somebody here who's like upset with their kids, either way, this medicine doesn't work. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't work. It does work to induce the symptoms or increase the symptoms or perpetuate the symptoms or sometimes cause the symptoms. It does work to do that. You can count on it to do all of that. But as far as like underhandedly making life easier, no, that's not what's happening at all. It's actually making life worse. And what people would say, what ends up happening, you're depressed. You're depressed because you know somebody who got killed in the massacre. Okay. So you're like, okay, I'm going to take a medicine. So I go to the doctor and I get myself a medicine. And now you're thinking even more about that person who got massacred.
About that person.
And you think that it's because of that person that you're depressed. But really, the medicines have opened up the doors for you to get stuck on depressing things and have it be larger and larger in your life. So you're now, you're stuck, you're frozen in the idea of, October 7th, or, my friend, who got killed. And it's unresolvable. It's unresolvable with medications. Medications are like freezing us in our own trauma. And we think that they have helped us and that, somehow life is easier to manage. But in the numbing, if you will, not only do we not feel the grief and the pain, but we're unable to resolve, and we can't feel the good things either. We can't feel anything. But
True.
In the meantime, it gets worse. In the meantime, our depression actually gets worse if we take antidepressants, and our anxiety gets worse if we take anti-anxiety agents, and our psychosis, if there's such a thing, gets worse if we take antipsychotic medication.
So let me jump in here. This is very fascinating to hear you guys both speak on this.
Yeah.
And so so you're saying these antidepressants and these medications actually magnify the thing that we're trying to avoid.
That's right.
The thing that they're going to a therapist for, the medicine or the medication is actually magnifying that issue or those issues to keep that.
Yes, Larry. And that's why they come to me. And this is, again, not all the therapists are working like I do work, but I guess that's the bonus of it, because when I work on a person, one of the things that I'm working very deep is to release all those emotions, to release all that past, to release all that memory, if it's past memory, present memory, future memory, but to release all those changes that person has. And it's amazing. I can give like an example from this morning. I had a client that came, and he was on a 4-day water fast, didn't eat, didn't do anything. I mean, you would assume not a lot will come out from that person, right? He didn't eat. Well, so much came out. And the minute I started to, I mean, he mentioned that he want to change profession, and he's very on the healing side. And the minute I say it's okay, just let it go. It's like a validation. It's okay. Let it go. Whatever you work on yourself, like let it go. That same minute, he started to release like crazy. And it was fascinating even to see that one word trigger emotion, trigger memory. A lot of the time when I talk about rape, because I have those clients as well, that same exact moment that we're talking about, that memory of releasing that pain, and you can actually see the physical is like releasing of that shit basically, but also tears, and it's a relief. And it's amazing how those things work, because Dr. Fred, you said it before, healing, or the true healing, start from inside out. It doesn't go the opposite way. So we first need to climb our way up, and healing our inside, our gut, our health, our wealth, our well-being. And also be aware that every pain we have, it's real pain, and it's part of us. Like if we have pain in our back, it's part of us. Let's see what can we do to ease it on ourselves. But we have to also do something, not just say, oh, I have, so okay, I accept that pain. No, we don't have to accept that. I mean, we accept the fact we have pain, but we can do so much to help us, because sometimes that pain comes from very deep emotions and memories than just muscles, or just other physical thing.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
That is the challenge, I think, that me and Dr. Fred have, is that challenge to bring a person to, first of all, admit that he does have that memory or this emotion, and let's work on it, and that it's okay to work on that emotion and actually take it out. And the past should live in the past. We have to live in present. We have to acknowledge and understand we cannot live in past.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another thing that many doctors don't even hear the client. I'm not even going there, but they don't even hear the story, till someone like us that is true believer in healing. First of all, to healing is healing, not healing like to feel healthy, to feel radiant, to actually support someone. How can we support someone else if our soul is so broken? That is really hard for me to even comprehend, or
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's not a good example anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whether we're coming at it from from the top end to from the brain, or the bottom end to the colon, and everything in between, or it's where our organs are, it's where our heart is, everything, it's where, everything in between our head and our colon, and the release is where the action can be. And, this is the thing, is that we can get in touch with that. This is a incredible piece of equipment that we've been given called a body, and it does come with pain. But it also comes with a soul that's occupying the body. And so, when we can tap that soul by connecting with it and having that person get that again, maybe somebody actually gets them. Maybe somebody's resonating with them. Maybe somebody understands or, can feel them and see them for who they are and hear them for who they are. I have noticed time and time again that when I connect with another person, there's healing that takes place. And it's not just over there, it's over here as well. It's in the space. The connection of another
For
human
sure.
creates healing. Yeah.
For sure. We need more therapists, more people like us that connect healing, that connect with people. At the end, it's not just a slogan. Love is a connection, because love is the soul, is the emotion, it's the healing. Love is healing. I mean, touch is healing. Touching someone, actually see them, is healing. It's 90% of the healing when you touch someone, when you hug someone. It's like it brings a smile. So as I always tell, at least my client, be happy when you wake up in the morning and you feel the joint and you feel that pain, because that means those organs are working,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Embrace it all. Embrace it all, right? Like, just get that every piece of it is part of life.
because nothing is perfect. And a lot of people aiming for perfection. And we need to realize that there is no such a thing, perfection. On at least the AKG, when the line goes like up and down, that means everything is vibrant, everything is alive, things are cooperating with each other. But when the line is static one, it's dead. That's when every single thing is perfect. So perfectly,
Yeah.
nothing works.
Yeah. Exactly.
Dr. Fred and Karin, obviously, like, you guys are really two peas in a pod, because Dr. Fred, you deal with, like, I think, and I'll ask you what you actually do, but to a normal person looking on the outside, watching you two, Dr. Fred, you deal with, it seems like, the head and the emotional aspect, and Karin, you deal with the colon and the emotional aspect, right? And it all kind of fuses into one. But Dr. Fred, how do you approach, because I think there's probably not a whole lot of psychiatrists or doctors that have your viewpoint. How do you approach, like, not like talking to clients, and how do you deal with clients, I guess, is the
Yeah. I
question.
mean, I think the idea is to see the client as a whole, complete, and perfect person all the time. 100% of the time, there's nothing wrong with them. There's no psychiatric disorder there at all, ever. So I never see anybody with a psychiatric disorder.
Is now, do you this may be crazy, and because there's probably people listening going, no, no, people have real problems, people have
Yeah, they
real
do.
issues.
They do.
How do you have people that come, and do they argue with you those facts?
Yeah, sure. Some people want to really know that there's something wrong with them, but there's not anything wrong with them. And, they can argue all they want, but I mean, in the end, look, psychiatry is the only subspecialty in all of medicine that if you tell somebody they're okay, they get pissed. What is that?
Wow.
What is that? You want to argue for your
Like a
limitations. You want to, essentially, relinquish the power you have over your life. Like when you're doing things that you don't like, if you're making someone mad, or you're making repetitive bad decisions, or you're not completing tasks on time, or you're hurting yourself or other people one way or another, isn't it great to know that it isn't even you, it's a condition. So you relinquish responsibility for your life, and having a psychiatric diagnosis really allows for that. You can say, well, I didn't mean to do that. That's my ADHD, or I didn't mean to do that. That's my generalized anxiety. I didn't mean to do that. I got post-traumatic stress disorder. I didn't mean to do that. I'm a narcissist. I didn't mean to do that because I got Asperger's syndrome, or I got social anxiety, or I got major depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. And we use those diagnoses to help us explain why we're less perfect than we think we should be. And the truth is, we're less perfect than we think we should be because we're human. Every one of us is less perfect than we think we should be. Every single one of us is less perfect than we think we should be. And some people actually approach a psychiatrist so we can bridge that gap and say, oh, the distance between where you are and where you should be is called ADHD or something like that. And then you can walk around and say, the reason I don't finish tasks, the reason my desk is a mess, the reason I'm impulsive is because I got ADHD and I take medicine for it, which, by the way, doesn't make me any better. It only makes me feel better, but I still got the same symptoms. And in fact, if you look at me now, I'm worse than when I got started on the medicine in the first place.
Yeah, which brings me to this amazing quote someone told me, when a person doesn't look at itself as a whole, you always, missing something. And how many of us wants to admit we're not whole, where we have like a missing part, or something is wrong with us, or we're defective, like this is not like a perfect creature. How many can admit that this is who they are, that I didn't finish because I'm freaking lazy. I didn't do that because I'm a little bit slower. And you know what? That's okay. So we can do that phase slower. And if I don't remember, it's maybe because I don't have a great memory. You know what? Not everybody have great memory.
Yeah,
It's like,
and
but
memory is completely overrated. Completely overrated.
I know,
Completely and
but
totally overrated. You know what you remember about something, there's about a million things going on at this very moment, and you choose what to remember. And then you create some sort of thread, and that's what you call your memory, as if it's accurate. You can only speak to one thing at a time, and Lord knows there's, I don't know, thousands of things going on in any given second. You can pick anything you want to call your memory. And memory doesn't even prove anything. It's a story that you're telling yourself about what your past experience was. It's completely and always inaccurate.
Yeah, and again, what brings us to put our problem on something else. Well, if I don't want to admit I'm that screwed up, I mean, it's because of something, because it's much easier to put our problem on something else, like he doesn't love me, or he wants it. It's because he didn't do, not because I'm not okay or I did something wrong. It's always much easier to place our problem on medication or on condition. This is, I'm big, I'm fat, not because I'm eating at midnight a lot of snacks. It's because my metabolism is slow, or because I inherited something. But
Right.
maybe it's about time we can admit that, yes, we are human, and it's okay to feel the way we feel. It's okay to act the way we act. It's okay to have the consequences of our life because the way we act. And it's about time to take control in our life instead of giving control on some substance that doesn't do a lot, actually makes it sometimes worse.
Exactly.
As you say. So
Is it personal
and I know what's going to
responsibility?
be the next subject.
What?
Say that again.
What?
Oh, I was just going to ask, is it personal responsibility? Does it is it as simple as that? Obviously, if it comes down to,
Of
what
course.
you, Kareem, and Dr. Fred are talking about is it personal responsibility and owning up to the fact that you know obviously we're not perfect, and we're overburdened, overstressed, overworked, and it's just you have to step up and you have to know how. Is it important to know how you operate, like me
Yes.
internally, people internally?
Laurie, let me give you some intake. Our body is amazing machine. It's the most sophisticated machine God created. we people screwed over and over and over, and we always forget that we need to live in this house that we call body. We only do makeover on the outside. We don't really go to the inside, because you know what, the inside is always more scary, more, who wants to deal with problem, right? If I have wrinkles, I'll do Botox. If there is some, if I have some fat, I'll take Ozempic. They don't, I mean, you don't think that by doing just that makeover on the outside doesn't do anything from the inside, and as long as we still have that problem from the inside, it will come outside eventually. So it will come in many faces. Now, our body, as like I said, a great machine, will give us a lot of signals for years. So we have the choice to control, and to actually control, meaning listen to it and listen to those signs and actually do something about it. But if you look around, how many of your friends, when they have sore throat, they will go to the doctor? Not a lot, maybe 50%. How many people, when they have constipation for 3 days straight, and then a little bit they're going to use the restroom, and then they will have constipation for another week, will ask themselves, something is wrong? Obviously something is wrong, but for them it's okay. Why? Because the pattern repeats, right? It's like a 3 days off, 3 days off, 3 days off. It's a repeat, and then they will say something like, it's running my family. Why? Because your mom was an idiot like you and didn't listen to the symptoms. It's like that's another running in the family. And there is also emotions that run in the family. Those people that don't express themselves and just holding and holding and holding. Yes, it's constipation at the end of the day, but our body gives signals. So also, when you hear that someone has like a disease and he died 3 months after, it's not because he had a disease and he died 3 months after. It's because it's been in his system for 3 years. He didn't listen to it. Never went to the doctor, maybe to even do a blood test to check his vitamins level, and then he died. Then when things went really worse, that's when your body is already, okay, Houston, we got a problem. When there is bleeding, that means your body already gave you everything possible. So yes, you always have the choice. We're a smart creature. We have the choice to choose good or bad. We have the choice to go to the psychiatrist, listen, and say, something? Maybe those voices, maybe that headaches is because I'm, using my brain too much to think about problems. Because something, I'm not working. I have so much free time in my hand. I have free time to think about the worst thing possible. Yeah, that's a choice. So yes, you have the choice to control, and you have the choice to make the right decisions. Yeah, definitely. Right, Dr. Fred?
Yeah, you do have a choice, and this is the kind of thing you have there's a lot of different ways to manage discomfort, and one of them is to take responsibility for it. And I'm not sure that I think going to a doctor is such a good idea most of the time. I think it's actually a pretty poor idea to head on to a doctor, or to go to the hospital, or to go to even to the emergency room. I think that starts a cascade of trouble in most cases, and actually, of course, tends to maybe make things worse. But there's a way of finding doctors like Karin or I, and where you can address these things in a humane way and get on the other side for true healing. Yeah.
And I have the next subject for our next podcast is medication and kids, because these become a very, very big deal. Like it seems to be. I'm not that old. I'm only 48, but in my days, HD HD wasn't that, you know. You had maybe in the whole school one little kid that took Ritalin or something because he had a problem. But that was like one case out of a whole. Today, I feel like my kids are the only one that are not on any medication because everybody else have a problem, have an issue. And I think that will be a great talk about how can we help kids or parents, because it's teaching the parent like great choices.
Yeah, let's do that next time. That sounds great.
Yeah, amazing. I was honored to have you in my podcast. I think we have so much to give to this world and so much gift we have to share. We can hold that gift with us.
Yeah.
We went to school and learned everything. I mean, you went to be a doctor, I went to be a naturopathic doctor, and we wanted to help, you know, people because we really believe in the system. But and I'm sure you experienced the same as me because I'm fighting the system for so long, at least for 24 years, talking shit. Like to bring the gut health to the mainstream when I had so many slam doors. Now, thank God, people are understand that there is such a thing like gut health and how important it is to actually look at it. And I'm sure you experience it from the same side. You went by the book and you wanted to do good, and then you find out that what you did is actually hurt people a little bit in your beginning of the way. Now you're trying your way to actually correct it and to find the right path and the right way, because there is a way.
Yeah.
For sure there is a way, and it's amazing. And I'm sure you lost also a lot of in that practice because of what you believe. And I mean, we sacrifice a lot for that because there is a lot. I mean,
I didn't lose so many
that's
people.
who we are. We want to make change. We want to create that movement of good health, healing health,
Yeah.
inner healing health. And for that cause, I'm willing to give everything I have. So that was my honor to have you in my show.
Thank you.
And we have so many subjects to talk about because there is so many things around the world, around us that are happening. And I think it's only lack of information. People are either not ready to accept all that great information, which is not new, it's actually very old, but and some people are very ready to take the chance to take life from 0 to 100 for a better new life. And I think the past few years shows us how everything can turn in 1 second. So we need to live every moment in this earth, in this place, happy before those doors are closed down, you know.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And before we wrap up, I would be remiss in not to ask you guys. Karin, I know people can contact you at Karin Nahmani podcast at gmail.com. Dr. Fred, can people contact you about anything that
Yeah,
they've
anything they want for sure.
Okay.
And the best place to find me is at drfred360.com, drfred360.com, or you can come to my website at drfred at welcometohumanity.net. And I hang out on social media as well. So if you find me on LinkedIn or Facebook, feel free to dump me a DM. Let me think what you think.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Eric, do you wanna give your famous over and out?
Before you take us out, Eric, I wish you a lot of health. Our Eric just
Thank you so much.
started to feel good after, tough time. I wish you just health, happiness, be on the right road to health. That's all I ask from you. And I'm praying for your health every
Thank
day.
you, Karin.
And you're my family as well, so yeah,
It means a
I just
lot.
want you to
Thank
be
you.
good and be on the right side of it.
Thank you so much, Kareem. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. We'll do a podcast talking about why Kareem said all of that to me. But again, Dr. Fred, thank you for being part of this. Larry, thank you. Everybody, I think, the sign off fits perfectly. right now, especially in this day and age, be excellent to each other.
Thank you. Perfect.